Welcome back. It's been a while since the last update, so I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed. By the way, thank you to the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. That'll really help me out. But anyways, moving on to it. So the last time we saw it, we had taken this sort of for our first test drive around town. Now that was really light throttle because it hadn't been tuned yet. It was just really on a base map. So that was really just making sure that there was no leaks, getting some heat cycles in it, that sort of thing. The next step after that was to get it to the dyno. So we had it on the dyno, we were going through the tune, we tuned everything on 91, started moving over to the E85 tune, and this happened. Yeah, not a great time on the dyno. Fortunately, it wasn't anything engine related, but it looked like there was a crack in the tail housing of the transmission, and transmission fluid was coming out. So in an abundance of caution, even though we had like one pull left, but we decided at that point to take it off the dyno, trailer it back home, so I could figure out what was going on with that before doing the final pull.
All right, so we got the tail section off of the transmission out of the car, and now we can clearly see what the problem is. That crack, that goes all the way around the entire casing. It goes, I don't know, 75%, 80% of the way around. And you can see it goes all, kind of see it goes all the way in through there. All the way in through there, all the way down. So if it was a small crack, I was just gonna, have it welded, but I think this is a little bit further gone than that. You can still get these housings new from Honda. They're a little bit hard to come by and they're a little expensive, but I think in this case, I'm going to source a new tail section here. We'll reuse the secondary shaft and the gears. We'll replace the bearings and the rear seal while we're in there. And then hopefully it'll just be a matter of putting it back together. Then, of course, we'll have to do a little bit of investigation to figure out why this happened in the first place. Maybe we soften up the transmission mounts. Maybe there was something wrong with the pinion angles. So we'll see, but that's where we are.
I can't. I'm done with this car. Viking funeral. So clearly there's still something fundamentally wrong here. Now both of these tail sections broke in the exact same way with the exact same crack. Really the only two things left that I could think of is my transmission mount, which needs a serious redesign, or it's the drive shaft. So this is the existing transmission mount. Now these two tabs right here, these go through the bottom of the transmission housing, and you can see that in one of the previous videos where we made this. And then these four outer slots right here slot up into the body of the car. Now when you're looking at this thing from the side, in the existing mount there was some rubber on the top here and some rubber on the bottom there, so the bolts that went through here didn't go down completely tight, and it allowed for a bit of compliance rotationally this way. It allowed for a bit of compliance going this way, and there was also some thinner but some bushings in between the bolts and the transmission going through here. My original modification when I had put in the second tail housing was I basically just increased the softness of these outer bushings right here to allow it for more compliance. Now, I don't know if that was actually the issue or whatever, but what I decided to do was just change the design completely so I could 100% eliminate this as a possible cause. And also allow me a little bit of greater fine tuning as well. So this is the new transmission design. Now with this transmission design, it is multi-piece. And what we did was we got rid of the bushings on these wings right here. So these are now bolted directly hard into the body. And then these two sort of L bracket looking things, these are bolted hard into the bottom of the transmission. So these four cylinders right here are going to be flexible rubber bushings with threaded inserts top and bottom. So we got a bolt that runs up through the bottom there. another bolt that runs up to the top there. So that will give us complete isolation. Not only are these a little bit softer, so it allows for more compliance, but then I could also fine tune the tail housing of this transmission. So if I had a little bit of washers, in between these two sections right here, I can raise the transmission up, or I could lower it down by adding some washers in between these mounts right here. So if I wanted to, I could use that to sort of fine tune the pinion angle. I could also swap out these bushings easily if I want to do something that's a harder or softer durometer. Basically, I have a lot more flexibility when it comes to this.
So at this point, the drive shaft was the only thing that we really hadn't taken a look at, but why would we? It's a brand new custom drive shaft, spent $600 something on it. Of course, that couldn't be the problem. But after exhausting all the other options, we decided to pull the drive shaft out and take it to a different drive shaft shop to have them balance it and take a look at it. And when they did, the result was actually pretty scary. It shook their entire machine. The thing was not balanced even in the slightest. It had like 50,000. So we had them cut it apart and fix it. They cut it everything. They re-welded everything back together with practically no run out whatsoever. They rebalanced it. Everything was good to go. So we got the drive shaft back, put it in. It was nice, balanced, took for a drive, and everything worked great. Didn't have any more vibrations, didn't have any more transmission tail housing issues. But while I was going through all this, I had reached out to a different drive shaft shop to get some quotes on some other things. And even though the steel one would have worked fine, I just couldn't resist.
This is a custom 2.75-inch carbon fiber drive shaft from the drive shaft shop. It's got turn joints on one end and a heavy-duty CV on the other end. There is no slip joint in the middle of this drive shaft, so that eliminates another point of possible vibration. There's enough plunge in the CV to take care of any extended length that we need. And then it also comes with this very nicely done CNC billet aluminum adapter that goes from the CV on one side to the stock AP1 transmission flange on the other side. We got pilots both on the transmission side and on the drive shaft side. Very nice piece. And it also comes with all of the black oxide hardware that we need to install it. All right, let's do a quick weight test. So the steel drive shaft comes in right at about 24 pounds, just under 24 pounds. Now we're going to weigh this with the CV adapter on it as well. And it comes in right at just above 14 pounds. So we're talking about 10 pounds difference here. And with that, let's head back to original performance to get it on the dyno and finalize the tune. Here we have the new carbon fiber drive shaft installed and all ready to go, loaded up on the dyno. While I was in there, there was a couple other things I needed to finish up, like the fire suppression line. So I finally got those mounted, got the brake line extra secured because it was vibrating around a little bit. Brake proportioning valve was in, the nozzle for the fire suppression, and then was finally able to install this remote shifter. Now, this wasn't absolutely necessary for street driving, but it was a little bit of a reach for me to get into fifth gear. And so when I go back to racing, this is going to be absolutely required. When I'm all strapped in, I'll be able to shift into all gears, no problem. The shift knob is really close to the steering wheel, so I should be able to do everything I need to be able to do. So this is a welcome addition. So something that still is on my list to fix that I'll be doing next time is taking care of the steering. Now, while the car itself does sit pretty low, the steering sits lower, and this definitely doesn't work. So this is something I will be taking care of before the next race. But for now, there's only one thing on my mind, just getting out and driving.